started with Kirsten and Shaq. And boy, since this was the episode where we're going to write the letters to our younger selves and we're going to go back into our family history and turn the time back, I was really interested in seeing where Kirsten was going to take us, what Kirsten was going to do to show us a little bit more, a glimpse into herself. And boy, did I learn a lot. Or I should say I didn't learn a lot. I sure did confirm a lot. First of all, Kirsten is on the wrong show. Kirsten is on the wrong show. If Kirsten, the things that Kirsten wants, a fine man, athletic man, built man with 6 inches, who can buy her a whole house without using any of her money, none of her credit score, and just put her on the deed. None of these things are wrong. That's fine. You know what? People can have all of the dreams that they want in life. I am not a person who stomps on a dream, but I am a person that says, are you shopping at the wrong store? You do not go into Walmart looking for some Tom Ford shoes. You don't. And Kirsten is over here shopping on Married at First Sight for a rich man. For a rich man. That's the problem that I have. That is the problem that I have. And let me tell you something about Kirsten. I know we've all been calling her shallow, or some of us have. Not everyone has. Let me say I've called her shallow. Let me speak for myself. I've called Kirsten shallow, and I still believe that. But Kirsten also has this part of her that's like a low-key gaslighter. She's kind of like a low-key gaslighter. And I'm really seeing the real techniques that Kirsten has probably been using out here in dating, and why she's still single. I really do know why she's still single. One of the things that Kirsten likes to do is she likes to drive up her price. And what I mean by that is she's the person who likes to create a lot of hype about herself so that it gets you to want to pay a real high price for her. I'm telling you, it goes back to what the pickiness is about. The pickiness is about letting you know that I can't just accept any old thing. I am a person of high caliber, high standards, and therefore you just can't bring me any old thing. So as you bring me things or offer me things, whether it be a man, a meal, anything, I scrutinize and I say, oh, that's not good enough for me. I need something more. Because what I'm telling you is I'm above that. I'm above you. I'm above whatever you're trying to give me. I'm above your standards. My standards are higher than yours. But the problem with all this high standards that Kirsten have is it's all a sham. It's all a sham. She really isn't used to and accustomed to all this. Because let me tell you, this whole debacle over you're going to have to buy me a house, this is all a scam. I got so much to talk about with Kirsten this week. This might be an hour video. This whole thing about you need to buy me a house. I know last week I touched on it, and a few of you got a little bit upset with me in the comments saying what's wrong with a man buying a woman a house, or what's going on with women these days where we are looking down on a woman who has standards for a man to buy them a house. Okay, good question. Very, very good question. That's why I like to read all my comments, because I really do love to engage with you guys. So because I got that question from several people, that tells me I might not have clarified myself well enough in my video, because I want you to know I am definitely not a type of person where I don't believe a man, if he's able to and can do that, should buy a woman a house. Let me tell you, me by nature, I'm actually a giver. I don't know if y'all know that, but I'm a giver by nature. So when you're talking about giving someone a gift, you're not going to get no complaints from me because I love to give gifts. But let me tell you as a giver what our triggers are as a giver. All my givers out here, you're going to be able to relate to this. As a giver, there's two main things that really rub us wrong, because we love to give. We really do. But when you act like we owe you something and you demand something, that triggers us. It triggers us. Let me tell you, when you act like we owe you something, it triggers us. When what we give you is not good enough and you look down on it, it triggers us. When you feel entitled to what we're giving, we think it's a gift, but you feel entitled to us, it triggers us. And when you're ungrateful, it triggers us. So let me tell you something how Kirsten is triggering me out here with this house. Like I said, if Shaq got the money to buy her a house, I'd be like, get it, girl. But what I don't like about Kirsten is what she uses entitlement, she demands, and she's picky. So first of all, she takes them to this $2.9 million house. First of all, this is part of the trickery. She's trying to pretend like she's a realtor and she sells $2.9 million houses. No, she doesn't. That wasn't her listing. I'm not going to look her up on the MLS. I'm not going to go so far because I'm not petty like that. But I know some of you are petty. Go on and look her up in the MLS. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't need to look her up. I can tell you right now that she doesn't sell $2.9 million houses. So the fact that she took them to one, first of all, is trickery. She should have took them to a house in which she sells. The price range in which she sells. I already told you, I know that Kirsten doesn't sell many houses. I don't even look her up to know this. She doesn't sell many houses. You know, people have been watching my channel. You know that I do real estate. I'm not a real estate agent. I've done real estate investing. I do real estate. And I'm going to tell you right now, Kirsten does not show high-end homes because I've worked with people who do, and I could tell by the way she moves and shake, she doesn't sell high-end homes. So this was a trickery to take Shaq to a $2.9 million house to try to show out, look what I do, look what I do. And this isn't even what you want to do. This is to set the bar high for Shaq. Then she brings up this whole thing talking about, well, I have friends whose husbands buy them cars and who buy them houses. Where are they? We haven't seen them on this show. We haven't even seen your family on this show. Another trickery. It is this idea of, let me create this image of myself. I'll never really prove any of it to you. And what that will make you do is it'll make you want to keep reaching this bar I've set for you, but it's a fake bar. It's a fake bar. She hasn't had any of these things. She's driving around in this Mercedes. She's talking about, well, I got a Mercedes. You can upgrade me to a Lamborghini or Ferrari. How can you have a Mercedes and you don't even have a nightstand? You got a Mercedes, but you don't have a nightstand? For show. It's all for show. Maybe it's for her clients. Maybe it's for her friends. Because guess what? Her clients and her friends probably don't even come to her house and see you driving around a Mercedes, but you don't even have a nightstand. It's shallow, it's fake, and it's all to make you work harder. It's an image of an outside so that you work harder. Let me tell you something. I told y'all I'm in real estate. I remember having this tenant, and she lived in one of my apartments. And, you know, every time I saw her, I mean, she was dressed to the nines. I mean, I would see her designer drip, everything. And I'd be thinking, this girl's late on her rent. She a month behind on her rent, but when she walked out the house, she looked like $1 million. $1 million. But she can't even pay her rent. Then I remember one day I was at the apartment building and I was walking through like the parking lot or whatever, and I saw her car. I looked in her car. Her car was a complete mess. Chaotic. Trash in it. Bags left over from McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken. You know, when you eat fast food in your car, but then you don't take the trash out, all in her car, clothes all in her car, papers, books all in her car. Horrendous. There are a lot of people out here who love to put on an image, and behind closed doors, their life is a mess. And I'm telling you, that's what Kirsten is. Another area Kirsten likes to put on is, you're really starting to see it, is with this daddy of hers. I don't want to talk about him because he could be a very wonderful man, but I'm going to tell you, one of Kirsten's things to raise her value is to classify herself as a daddy's girl. So what you do when you want to go around saying, I'm a daddy's girl, what Kirsten is trying to do is, I'm used to a man catering to me and spoiling me, because that's what a lot of people think a daddy's girl is, but it's really not the truth. Real daddy girls are, no, that's not all it is. But anyway, I'm used to a man catering me and spoiling me. Just like she said, she's used to friends whose husbands do it for her. So I'm going to need you to do the same thing for Shaq. I'm going to need you to spoil me. First of all, that daddy didn't even come to the wedding. So I'm already knew right then she's not a daddy's girl. No man who has a daddy's girl is going to miss his daughter's wedding. There's no way. Even if you don't agree with the man that she's marrying, even if you don't agree with why and how she's marrying him. A daddy's girl, a daddy who has a daddy's girl, the reason she's a daddy's girl is because her father loves her more than anything and will do anything for her. And if that means going to a wedding, even if I don't agree, you're marrying a man I haven't even met, I'm still going to do it. As a daddy, I'm still going to do it. And that's where I knew right then, you're not a daddy's girl. I don't know what her definition is of a daddy's girl, and I don't believe she is. And she's using that to make Shaq be a different person, or not to be a different person, but step up his game. It's a way of saying, this is my bar, and this is what I need you to reach. She takes us over here to this house she grew up in. First of all, it's a very modest house in Tennessee. Okay, I don't want to, see, this is what I'm saying. I don't like to put people down, but I really only have to do it when they start trying to act like they all that. See, that's when that also gets me. It's part of that, like I told you, as a giver, it's part of that saying what you do isn't good enough. Then I go, wait a minute, what I do isn't good enough. Well, what you got? Your stuff ain't all that either. So now that I look at Kirsten, she takes us to this little 2-bedroom house in Tennessee. Tennessee, people, a 2-bedroom house in Tennessee. Then she tells us, see, this is what my father was used to doing, providing for us. Like I said, I don't want anyone telling me I'm putting down the father, because I am not. He seems like he has been a wonderful father. He has done very nice things with his children. But what I am going to challenge with Kirsten is this notion that her father provided this real high standard of living for her, and now Shaq has to live up to it. That's what I'm saying. 2-bedroom house in Tennessee. Then we find out her parents split when she was what? 8? Did she tell us 8? 5 or 8? So what do you mean your father bought you guys a house? They divorced at 5 or 8 and you moved out the house. That's not even the majority of your life if you were 5 years old or 8 years old. You barely talking you barely talking and everything at 3. So what, you had at most, what, 1 or 4 years in a house? And all of a sudden you act like you was living in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? Girl, you were not the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You are not the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But this is the image she wants to keep portrayed. And then when you call her on it, she likes to try to so-called gaslight you and act like what you know is not the truth. Y'all better watch my after party video, because she's on there gaslighting the hell out of Shaq. Gaslighting the hell out of Shaq, and he ain't even present. But I'm going to save that for over on the after party, so be sure you watch that. Personally, I tell you, if you are such a daddy's girl, you need to go ask your daddy to buy you a nightstand. Let's start there. You need to go and ask your daddy to buy you a nightstand. Tell him to order it on Amazon and send it. And then she's sitting over here talking about, well, I'm not ready to introduce my Shaq to my father because he's having a hard time accepting this. I thought he had COVID. I thought the reason he didn't come to the wedding was because he didn't want to get COVID tested. I'm sorry, that's what he said, COVID tested. Now you're talking about you the one that don't want to introduce your daddy. All this is just a fake and a facade. It's also, everybody thinks that she's a daddy's girl. She's the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. She's got a master's and a bachelor's, and she sells $2.9 million houses. It's all a fake and a fraud, and she hangs around rich people whose husbands go around buying their wives cars and houses. Show them to me. Show them to me. Show me the percentage of men who have the ability to buy their wives a $2.9 million homes and not rely upon the woman for anything. Not her credit score, not no part of the down payment, no money towards the mortgage, or nothing. Show them to me, Kirsten. I don't believe you. I don't believe you a one bit. And they can't be no clients of yours. When she running here around talking about, I know people, or maybe who she knows are clients, people who she sold homes to. Those aren't your friends. Those aren't your friends. That reminds me of, have you ever been to a really high-end store in LA? You ever go to one of these, sometimes these stores in Beverly Hills? I don't shop there because I ain't got no Beverly Hills money. But I've been to them. And sometimes you go in these stores in Beverly Hills and the salespeople, they really snobby. They're really snobby. They act like they can afford the merchandise in the store. You go into, Yves Saint Laurent store, you go into, Louis Vuitton store or whatever else. They want to look down on you, You over here buying a $2,000 and $3,000 bag, and they want to look down on you, and they over here living in an apartment with 5 people. That's Kirsten. She over here probably selling. I'm telling you all right now, I know the price range of houses Kirsten probably sells. I don't know. I don't know the whole Tennessee market, but I bet you the average price of the home she sells is probably somewhere around $450,000, $500,000. That's it. She ain't selling 2.9, but she's running around here talking about people who are in that marketplace, and she wants to be in that marketplace. She even said it. She said, I want you to buy me a house so I can tell people you bought me a house. It came out her mouth that I want you to buy me a house so I could tell people my husband bought me a house. Girl, I'm so over Kirsten. And you know what? Shaq is over Kirsten too. I was holding out a little hope for them, but it's going to be a no on decision day. And you know who the no is going to come from? The no is going to come from Shaq. The no is going to come from Shaq because Kirsten actually really believes she's worth all this. This holding out for a kiss. She trying to raise the price on her kiss. This holding out on sex. All this stuff she likes to hold out on as if she's so worth so much. Girl, she overvalues herself. She really does overvalue herself. She's going to be on the market for a while. Because let me tell you, there's a lot of men who will be attracted to Kirsten. There's a lot of men, but after they spend a little bit of time with her, they're going to see beyond the pretty face. They're going to see beyond, and that's why she can't get far in dating. She can't get far in dating. Like that guy who probably was with her for 4 years, and then what she say, he ended up cheating on her. That's pretty much how it's going to go until she decides to change some things about herself. I think I did a video. I do so many videos. I don't know where I said it, if it was Married at First Sight videos or if it was Ready to Love videos. But I told you about people who are not learning and growing from relationship to relationship. What's going to happen is you're going to get stuck. And Kirsten is in real danger. She is in real danger of being a person that comes on Married at First Sight and doesn't learn a thing. Doesn't learn a thing. And then what she's going to do, she's going to go on to the next relationship and she's going to do this same old playbook. The same old playbook, and she's going to keep finding herself in the same old place, the same old place, the same old place, because she really isn't learning her lessons. Her game plan is to stay the same and find a different man. Find a man who wants to purchase what I'm selling. That's her whole game plan. But you know what? If you want to stick with that game plan, that's Kirsten, but time isn't going to be on your side. I'm telling you, pay attention to women like, who was the girl from last year with Nate and Stasha? Pay attention to the Stashas of the world, because there comes a point in time when you're going to start to run out of runway with this type of game where you have these high standards and you want to pretend like you deserve all this stuff and no one's good enough for you. Okay. Kirsten is only like 32, 33. Stasha was 37. When she finally gets to 37, now she's got a clock and she's telling men, you need to be able to get married and have a baby all within 1 year. These women better freeze their eggs. They better freeze their eggs. If they're going to stick with this game plan, Kirsten better run out and freeze her eggs right away. She better freeze them right away, because she might be out here and she may not find her man till she's darn near 39 years old, which is okay. But you don't want 39-year-old eggs. She better freeze her eggs now if she's going to continue with this game plan. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Either change your game plan or freeze your eggs, because you're going to be out here a while. You're going to be out here for a while. She's up here painting a picture talking about, can't you see the kids running through the house? Boy, she was doing a sales job on Shaq. This is just like a real estate agent when they come to have you look at a house. Because what they want to do is they want you to imagine yourself in the home. Can't you imagine you and your husband laying here in this jacuzzi tub? Can't you imagine sitting out here on the balcony, sipping your morning coffee? Kirsten's like, can't you imagine all our little kids running around the house? We could be in the theater room watching movies with popcorn, and he was eating it up. Ooh, yeah, I could really see it, Kirsten. Well, that's great. It's only going to cost you $2.9 million. The dream only cost you $2.9 million. And let me tell you, I'm not putting no money down. I'm not going to be putting my credit score up with it. But yes, I will be on the deed. I will be on the deed. Woo! She was trying to do a sales job on him. But he was like, wait a minute. What's she talking about? Buy you a house. Or buy you a house. He was like, we need to talk about this. What do you mean? You're not going to contribute nothing to it? She goes, oh no, this is what I've been accustomed to. This is what I'm accustomed to. What you mean you're accustomed to it? Yeah, my daddy did it for me. All my friends, their husbands do it for them. Shaq ain't met a friend. Shaq ain't met a daddy. Shaq ain't met no one in the family. And this girl is all talking about stuff up here. Her daddy doesn't even want to meet Shaq. She talking about she's keeping Shaq away from her daddy. Her daddy don't want to meet Shaq. And she don't want Shaq to meet her daddy, because then guess what? Shaq will really see, oh, wait a minute. What's she talking about? She says her daddy's always at the shop. I don't know what the shop is. I hope he ain't a barber. I hope he ain't a barber like the salon Gina. Maybe he's a mechanic. I don't know what he does, but she always says he's always at the shop. I don't know what kind of shop that is. Is it he's a mechanic? Maybe it's like a mechanic shop. Maybe it's the barber shop. We have no idea, but she doesn't tell us. All we know is that he's running around buying houses for everybody, but he don't live there either. I don't believe Kirsten. It's all a fake and a facade, all of it. Jack was like, we could go ahead and look for, we should look for a house. Eventually later on, I do want to buy a house. She's like, yeah, well, when your lease is up, he's like, that's in 3 months. She goes, yeah, 3 months. 3 months. She ain't gonna meet her quota. That's what she's trying to do, Shaq. What she's trying to tell you is, whatever brokerage company she's with, she hasn't sold enough homes. And if she don't sell a home soon, they're going to fire her. Because people don't keep brokers around that ain't selling homes. I'm telling you, Kirsten probably only sells, I'm going to put my guess out there, I want to say no more than 3 houses a year. No more than 3 houses a year. That's what Kirsten is. Kirsten just said she don't have a website and a business card and a logo. And I was like, what you need all that for? You don't work for no brokerage company? I'm telling you, her little illusion, anyone with any bit of, I'm older than most people, so I have a little bit more experience out here. Experienced people see right through this, because none of her stories add up. None of them add up. But I stick to the fact that none of the stuff where Kirsten doesn't want to be with Shaq had nothing to do with his bald head. It never had anything to do with that. What Kirsten does is she likes to drive up her price. So just like she came in and said, I really don't like Shaq, I don't like the way he looks. That's the same way you're supposed to go looking for a house. When you go looking for a house, and she knows this as a real estate agent because she's a salesperson, when you take a client to go look at a house, the thing you tell them is, no matter how much you like the house, don't show your over enthusiasm. Don't show how much you like the house, because that's going to hurt us on negotiations. So walk through the house, stone face. Don't be afraid to point out some things you don't like, because what that will do is that'll start to prime the seller to discount their price. It's a sales tactic, and she's a salesperson. So it never had anything to do with his bald head. That was a game, so he would work harder for her, and he would work harder to pay more for her, and he would lower his own price of his own worth, that she could pick him up for cheap, and then he would have to pay more for her. It's a sales tactic. It had nothing to do with she really doesn't like the way that he looks. Because remember, when she was sitting down with Dr. Pepper, before she even met the man, she already told Dr. Pepper that I'm already going to want a discount if his penis isn't big enough. She hadn't even met him. She said, I want a man with so many inches. So what she was saying is, before I even see the product that I'm about to get paired with or that I'm going to purchase, I'm going to tell you right now that I'm going to offer less for it if the penis isn't big. She was already foreshadowing that she was going to be hard to please, and that she was going to ask for a discount right from the gate. This is who she is. She likes you to run down the price of yourself, run down your own worth, elevate her worth, and make you believe she's worth all this. Girl, that's why she ain't selling no doggone houses, because I'm telling you, she's misleading. And people can see through this whole little game she's playing. Kirsten, I'm going to talk directly to you. If you're not selling but 2 or 3 homes a year, I'm going to tell you the reason why you're not selling them. Is because experienced buyers like myself can see through you. They can see through you. So then what we'll do is, when we see this charade you're doing, this oversells thing you're doing, we don't trust you. We don't trust you to represent us. We don't trust you to buy from you, because we look at you and we say, she's trying to pull the wool over my head. And although I may discover some things of what she's lying about, what about the things I'm not sharp enough to discover? And so therefore, we won't want to do business with you. So not only do you need to change your tactics, Kirsten, for personal life in meeting men and dating, you need to change your tactics in selling. Unless you're selling to a bunch of first-time homeowners, which is probably who she's selling to, okay? Which means that's what I'm telling you. She's probably selling to first-time homeowners. Therefore, she's in a lower price of homes. And so first-time homeowners aren't as savvy. So they don't know how to see through these little sales techniques and tactics that she's using. So she gets over on it. But if she ever really does want to move up into $2.9 million homes, she's going to have to come up with a new method. Because people buying $2.9 million homes can see through all this bull crap you doing. We see right through it. And then we don't want to do no business with you because we know you're being dishonest. Sorry. There's some free advice for you, Kirsten. There's some free advice. But here's Shaq introducing her to, people who are in town, his godmother, his godparents. Shaq done introduced her to mentees. He's taking her to business conferences. Now he's introducing godparents and godmothers to Kirsten. And Kirsten can't even get her daddy, who's the one who set at the bar and set the standards, to even have a cup of coffee with Shaq. Shaq can't go down to the shop, whatever shop it is. He can't go get a haircut from your daddy. He can't go get his car fixed, whatever shop it is. He can't go down there. Girl, in Tennessee. He probably right down the road. Unbelievable, people. Unbelievable. And so then when Shaq starts calling around on talking about, you always talking about you want to talk, but here we are talking, and now you're trying to walk away. And she's like, I ain't going to be acting crazy with you. I ain't going to be acting crazy with you. You trying to act crazy. No. Just like Shaq said, well, wait a minute. How all of a sudden now is this all a big joke to you? When I was joking, you told me I joked too much. Shaq, it's all gaslighting. That's what gaslighting is. What's good for them is not good for you. They use excuses not to have conversations. So now all of a sudden she doesn't want to be called on her bull crap. And she says, oh, it was all a joke. It wasn't a joke. None of it was a joke. None of it was a joke. It was all the truth. But now she sees how it went over and she wants to convert it to a joke. Well, it was a bad joke. Whether it was a joke from the beginning or whether it's a joke now, it was a horrible joke. It's a bad joke. And I don't even believe it's a joke. So now I like you even less because I didn't like you when you said it. And now I don't like the fact that you're lying and saying it was a joke. Now we got two problems. I had a problem when you said it. Now I have another problem because you're trying to act like it's a joke. And now you're trying to gaslight me and tell me I'm overreacting. Girl, bye with a capital B. Bye with a capital B. And she's like, it was just a joke, where we can buy a house together, whatever we get approved for. Well, I mean, that's the same as him buying the house because she don't have no, I'm telling you people, Kirsten is broke. The real estate market is trash. I ain't even doing it right now anymore. It is a trash. Interest rates is high as hell out here. First-time home buyers, which is who she sells to, are the ones having the hardest problems buying homes because high interest rates really affect them. It increases their home prices. She is suffering out here with her little business. She better go back and do that job that depends on that bachelor's and that master's. She better go back to what she got that degree in. Because when she says we'll buy whatever house we can qualify together, Shaq, it's going to be what you qualify for. She ain't got enough stable income. The bank going to look at her income and say, your income is inconsistent. You getting paid only 4 times a year. Well, we can't count on that for no doggone mortgage. A bank don't want to see that 4 times a year. They're going to be primarily looking at his income because his income is going to be the steady income. So like she said, you can buy us a house because my income ain't going to be worth nothing anyway. Then she's like, well, calm down. You overreacted. Now she's trying to paint a picture that he's over emotional. He's overreacting. Right? So now what you doing now to him? You putting him down? You about to go on this little tip of he's too feminine. He's overreacting. That's what I heard coming out of that little condescending tone. Oh, you're overreacting. So I'm overreacting to what you did. And now I'm the problem. Woo. This girl is a professional. She's been doing this a long time. And I'm telling you, she's been doing it so long, it's going to be hard for her to get rid of these habits because she doesn't even know when she does it. So she doesn't even know how to break the habits. One is she doesn't even acknowledge that she does it because she's on the after party denying it. which means she's nowhere near about to stop it. She's nowhere near about to correct the behavior because she doesn't even want to acknowledge it happens, which means she's a long way away from correcting it and doing something different. Like I said, freeze your eggs, freeze your eggs. And now we're moving on to Clint and Gina. And just when I was giving Gina her flowers last week, this week I need to give her some dead flowers. This girl, if we have to do anything that has to do with this salon, I think I'm just going to throw up. I'm just going to throw up. I'm so sick of Gina. I'm so sick of Gina. And every road leads to the salon. Every road, it is like I'm in a bad nightmare where I'm picking all these roads to go down, but every time I go down the same road, it leads to the same dead end. We sit here talking about going back in our past, letters to ourselves, talking about our past, and you mean to tell me then when Gina goes back to her past, we go back to beauty college for the salon? I know Clint is just fit to be tied. At this point in time, I know Clint is just fit to be tied. And he has so much enthusiasm. Talk about giving people flowers. Give Clint his flowers. Give Clint his flowers because he is able to smile through all of this. And I know inside he wants to throw up too. Then when we meet the friends or family, we meeting salon workers, stylists. That's who we're meeting for Gina. Coming over talking about how good of a boss she is. Oh, I couldn't do it. I couldn't be Clint. I would need an Academy Award, an Oscar, a Golden Globe, a BET Award. You just have to line them all up for me. Because if you want me to act this well, I'm going to need an increase in the whatever they make it, I'm going to need an increase. I'm going to need my rent paid for 6 months, even after this show. Because Gina, I tell you, all roads lead to the salon, the beauty salon. And she says, now I own my own company. What company? What is Gina talking about, people? What is wrong with Gina? How does she not see this? How does Gina not see that there's nothing to her but this doggone salon and business and work? How can she not see this? Talking about this hair school is where it all started. That's not where it started, Gina. It didn't start there at no doggone hair salon. What is she talking about? I wish, you know what? I want the mean Clint to come back. I want the Clint to come back and tell her, I'm not used to dating women slim. Where's the mean Clint? I need the mean Clint to come back. Because the mean Clint needs to tell Gina a few things so that Gina will be better in the next relationship. Because Gina's going to be another one that walks away from here and not know anything. Because the only reason Gina has been doing well is because Clint hasn't been calling her out on all this bull crap she's spitting out. That's why she's doing well now. Oh, I can see ourselves getting along. You can see yourselves getting along because what he's doing is he's holding his tongue. He's not really saying what he's really thinking. And I'm telling you, Clint is thinking this is some bullshit. All roads lead to this salon. All roads. So in order to be with Gina, you could never really tell her the truth. You could never really tell her about her delusion. You would just have to live in her delusional world and act like you don't see nothing. That's when she's happy. When you go along with her delusion, just like them paid stylists was doing over there, gassing her up, talking about how wonderful she is. You're paying them, Gina. Who will go to their boss's house and speak bad about them? Who would go to their boss's house and walk up into their boss's house, start talking to their spouse and talking bad about them and talking about what they need to do differently? No one. This girl is delusional. She got a paid fan club. You know who Clint is starting to remind me of? There was a part when Clint said, he was reminding me of the guy, Eric, on Seasons Past. Remember Eric was married to the drunk girl, Virginia? And remember, Eric, I thought he was ready for marriage. I know a lot of people didn't like Eric. I liked Eric. He was paired with a drunk. She wasn't ready. She was too young. She wasn't ready. But I thought that he really wanted to be married. He was a pilot. We find out that Clint used to be a pilot as well. Did you hear that little part when he said he was a pilot before he went into, I forget what he does now. He's now into tech. So he used to be a pilot. Now he's into tech. So he was probably a STEM major. He probably was a STEM major as a pilot. And then he's gone on into tech, sort of his second career. Clint reminds me of Eric. And one of the things that Eric talked about was it was really hard to have a relationship as a pilot because you're gone all the time. I bet that was a big part of why, if Clint was a pilot earlier in his career, I bet that was a big part of why it was hard for him to settle down earlier than 40, which also adds to why he's been sleeping with 70 women all across the U.S. All of this is starting to make a lot more sense to me. It sounds as if he got out of being a pilot maybe 7 years ago, because he said he's been living in Tennessee for 7 years and he's in tech. So maybe he got out of that and now, he's 40. So his story is starting to come together. I'm telling you, Clint reminds me of Eric. And I saw on Instagram not too long ago that Eric is engaged. Eric, who's with Drunk Virginia, is now engaged, found him a wife who's more suited to him, and they're getting engaged. That's who Clint is. Clint's going to get married. Clint is going to get married soon, because what we realize now is even the quirks of Clint, maybe his, we always say he's selfish. He has a selfish side to him. He thinks about himself. Clint is working through his issues, and he has the ability to control all those things. And he's going to find a wife, and he's going to get married. He's going to get married. He's going to find a woman, and he's going to get married. He's going to have learned from this Married at First Sight. I can see it already that he's learned, and he's going to get married. He's going to be like Eric. In maybe 3 years, 4 years, whatever you want to call it, maybe even sooner, he's going to get married, and he's going to meet a woman, and she's going to be younger, and they're going to have kids, and he's going to be married. Look for it, people. Look for the announcement, because I'm calling it now. And Gina, she's still going to be single. I'm going to put Gina over there with Kirsten. Freeze your eggs. Freeze your eggs. But I'm not even sure Gina wants children. I don't think Gina wants children. She doesn't even talk about it. Gina's baby is her salon. Gina's baby is her salon. And to be honest with you, I don't even think Gina wants children. I don't hear her talking about it. I don't hear her mentioning it, which is okay. It's no problem with it. But I don't see it in her future. I see Gina's baby is the salon, growing her salon to be bigger and bigger and bigger. I really don't see any room in Gina's life for a man. Not a husband, not a boyfriend. Shoot, Hank even don't want to be with her no more. Her dog don't even want to be with her no more. Gina is in love with that salon, and she's in love with all her stylists, and that's the way it's going to be for a long, long, long time. And she'll be happy with that. There's nothing wrong with it. But she's another one who shouldn't have come on here. She's not ready for marriage. She's not even ready to dedicate herself to marriage. She's married to that salon, that dream of being a salon owner and all that. Good for her. She basically wasted Clint's time. Well, I won't say she wasted Clint's time, because I think Clint did learn something from this. I think he learned from this. There's lessons learned. Even when things don't work out the way you want them to, lessons were learned. And I think Clint has learned a big lesson from this episode, from this season. And not only do I think Clint's going to get married, I think Clint's going to get a dog. Clint's going to get a dog because he's enjoyed being with Hank. I think he's fallen in love with Hank, and he's going to realize that a dog can bring you joy. And Clint is going to get a dog, and then Clint's going to find a wife, and he's going to get married, and they're going to get a house together, and they're going to go sailing, and they're going to travel around the world because he's a pilot, and he's going to get a small plane, and he's also going to fly the plane and take his wife on small little vacations down to the coast of Florida and fly his plane. I already see his life. Good for you. Congratulations, Clint. I'm going to give you the congratulations now, because I already see it happening. And Gina's going to be single in her salon, happy, surrounded by stylists. And her dog is going to be at home in the apartment building waiting for her to come home and take him out for a walk to use the bathroom. That's it, people. And now we're moving on to Jasmin and Airris. And are y'all kidding me? Airris is in therapy. Airris is in therapy. For real, how often is he going to therapy? Once a year? Once a year? Has he stopped the sessions? He needs to go back. He needs to go back. But you know what? Maybe I ought to say this. The old saying in the church was, you don't know where I came from, right? You don't know my testimony. Don't judge me now because you don't know how far Jesus has brought me. You don't know what God has done for me, right? You don't know what God has done for me. Maybe that's the case of Airris. Maybe the case of Airris is I'm sitting here talking about how he needs therapy. And now he tells us, or has made it pretty clear, that he's been to therapy, several sessions, but this is where he is. So you know what? Good for you, Airris, that you're going to therapy, or you went to therapy. If you went to therapy and you're not in it, you need to go back. And if you've been with the same therapist for more than 2 years, you might need to switch therapist who can help you for the next part. And congratulations on where you probably were when you first started therapy versus where you are now. Okay, that's all the good parts. But even with that, I'm still going to say you're not fit for marriage. I appreciate where God has brought you. I appreciate how far you've come along. But what I'm still going to say is you're still not fit for marriage. You're still not fit for marriage. And I know a lot of you, this is going to be my week of clearing up my videos because, like I said, I like to listen to all you guys down in the comments and chats. And I don't do lives, but I do listen to what you guys say. And another thing that came up was some of you felt that I was being too hard on Airris and not looking at the issues that Jasmin has with her own communication issues. And my videos were being a little bit lopsided with Airris. So this video is going to be dedicated to all of you because I'm going to clear that up. And I'm going to tell you what I think of Jasmin's issues. Because like I said before, I thought I said it before, but I'm going to definitely say it now. Jasmin's got communication issues. She absolutely does. And there's a lot of things that Jasmin needs to work on. But this is where I draw the line. She doesn't need to work on them with Airris. Let me say that. Jasmin has a lot of things that she needs to work on, but she doesn't need to work on them with Airris because Airris is not a safe space. Hurt people. And Jasmin doesn't need to open up herself to a man who is obviously hurt and wounded and has a lot of trauma, because what will happen is she won't get better, she'll get worse. Now, you guys all know that my thing about growing in relationships so that even if the relationship doesn't work out, you're better for the next relationship. Jasmin is getting cheated 2 times over in this Married at First Sight. The first place she's getting cheated is even having been paired with Airris. He's not a good husband. He's not fit for marriage. That's where she got cheated first. But there are a lot of people who may not be fit for marriage or may not be ready and it may not work out. But there is something that you can learn and learn from them so that when you go on to the next relationship, you will be even better in that next relationship. There really isn't anything that Jasmin's going to be able to learn from Airris. There really isn't. Because Airris is not a safe space for her to even open up so that she can even learn anything. Because the danger of opening up to Airris is huge. It's huge. Even when Airris was sitting over here talking about if they had kids, and he says, well, my kid's going to be fly anyway because he's going to look like me. Call me oversensitive, call me whatever you want, but I know what the saying is. The saying is, when you want to give your wife a compliment, what you say is, I hope our kids get your looks. That's the saying, people. You want to be traditional with Kirsten and Shaq, let's be traditional. The saying is, when you want your kids, what you say to your wife is, I sure hope our children get your looks because you are beautiful, honey. But what Airris says is, my kid's going to be fly because he's going to look like me. You ain't even fly, Airris. Ugh, people. He bothers me to no end. He bothers me. So all the work that Jasmin needs to do, we could talk about it. We could talk about it. But we're not going to talk about it in the context that she needs to do with Airris. No, she needs to do exactly what she's doing with him right now. And is, I don't have nothing to say. That's what she needs to keep doing. Keep with that line, Jasmin. I don't have nothing to say. Because now Airris is up here talking about, I'm going to give me some free therapy. If I'm going to be in this relationship, I'm going to get me some free therapy. That's what he's like. I've been over here paying $60 an hour to this therapist, $70, $100 an hour to this therapist. I'm going to come on here and get some free therapy and vomit all over Jasmin and everybody else on here so I can get some free therapy. I'm so over this man. I am so over this man. And Jasmin, you know what she is, we're finding out a little bit more about her background. We're finding out about when she had problems having good self-esteem, which, I mean, come on now. We all deal with that as women, even as men, as young people, bullying in high school. We all got bully stories. I mean, we really need to start changing the narratives out here for these young people and young kids, because everybody got a sad story of being bullied. Everyone, look at we're gonna get over there to Nicole and Chris. They got a whole life of sad stories. We got to get to the point with some people nowadays that say we have all had sad stories. What we need to concentrate on is, how do you overcome? How do you get past those things? Because we've all been bullied. I was bullied in school. Everybody's been bullied. Everybody's been called different names. It doesn't, this is what kids do to you, period. You're going to come across a bully. What we really need to start concentrating on is not about keeping people from getting bullied, because you're going to get bullied. You're either going to get bullied in middle school or high school. You're going to get bullied in your adult life. We need to start giving people coping skills, how to get past it, so we don't find the Airrises of the world stuck at 11 years old. Airris is still stuck. Jasmin, in some ways, is still stuck. She's still overcompensating and being sometimes an overgiver, because she still wants to be accepted. She still wants to pour into Airris, even though he's basically bullied her. She's still talking about, we have things in common, compatibility. What do you have compatible? Your personalities aren't alike. Your hearts aren't aligned. What's alike? You come from a family that worships the Lord and worships God, and he worships dead people. He's sitting over here walking around with a letter from his daddy in his phone, you guys. I am telling you, I don't care. This is not normal. This is not normal to have the dead man on the chain, to have the dead man's obituary on his dresser, to have a dead man's letter in his phone. His father. And we come to find out that his father wasn't even in his life for what? 1989, how old was he? I can't even do the math real quick. He only had to have been about maybe 6 years old. So for the first 6 years, his daddy wasn't even in his life. And then he told us that his dad died when he was 11. He's just like Kirsten. They've created this image. Who is this father? Who is this image he's talking about of this dad that he's holding on to? He's looking at his father through child's eyes. His father died when he was 11. He didn't even really know his dad till he was about 6. So his whole image of his father is stuck at a child's brain. If any of you had a father who was a daddy's girl, you didn't even be a daddy's girl, had a father, there comes a point in your life when you switch from looking at your father as your father and you switch to looking at your father as like a man. There's this point in your life when that happens, that arc happens, where when you're young, he's only your daddy. But then once you get out in the world and you start dating and you start meeting other men, you're able to go back and you're able to look at your father and you're able to see some of the flaws of your father. Because you're a daddy's girl, you think your dad is wonderful. But you're able to say, you know what? I can see how my mama had a little problem with my daddy here, right? Because you could see as a woman now, that may not be something you would like as a wife or a girlfriend, but you see it in your daddy, but you love your daddy. It's healthy. You're supposed to be able to look at a whole person, because people are whole people. They're not just one person. They're not just a daddy. They're a daddy. They're a father. They're a husband. They're an employee. There are lots of things. And you should be able to say, you know what? I love my daddy, but I wouldn't want him working for me. I love my daddy, but I may not want to date him. I love my daddy, but I would want a father. I would want a husband just like my daddy. Airris and his dead father, he sees him through one way. He sees him through the eyes of a 6-year-old boy. He sees him through the eyes of a 6-year-old boy, and he's stunted. He is absolutely stunted. Somebody needs to talk to him and say, it's time to put that letter away somewhere else, put it in a box, put it in the attic if you want to keep it. It's time to take that chain off. It's time to take that obituary off. And it's time to grow up. It is time to grow up, Airris, because you're hurting yourself and you're hurting everybody who's coming in your life. He's a dangerous person, and that's why I say Jasmin should not open up herself to a man like Airris, because he's dangerous and he will not help her grow. He will harm her. He will make her regress. He will make her go back to that 9-year-old little girl she was talking about in that letter. In fact, that letter she was writing to her 9-year-old girl, she really could have been writing it to Airris, because what she was talking about was appropriate to him right now. And I wonder if she knew that. I wonder if she wrote that letter purposely for that, to talk to him the way she wanted to talk. Because I'm telling you, she could have been talking to him, but he didn't get it. He didn't get it because he never really thinks about anyone else's feelings. He just thinks about his own. But that letter that Jasmin wrote to her 9-year-old self, she should have put Airris's name on there. Because it was a letter to him as well. And what she's saying is, here I am at 32, being made to feel like that 9-year-old girl I felt like when I moved here to Memphis, and everybody told me I talked too proper, basically saying I wasn't black enough. And now you got a man over here telling me my booty ain't big enough. I like black girls with big booties, and your booty ain't good enough. She triggered. I would be triggered too. She's being triggered. And let me tell you, that's not a person you open up to. Absolutely not. I told y'all over in the video with Kirsten and Shaq that people who are givers, and Jasmin, her family has described her as a giver. I think she's a giver. Let me tell you things that run a giver's wrong. When you don't appreciate us, right? And you try to devalue us, and after a while, we may hang in there, but we know how to turn it off after that. And I'm telling you, once Jasmin gets done, she's going to be done. She's done. She ain't all the way there because she got a lot in her tank. Givers have a lot in their tanks. They could put up with a lot. They really can. They give people 2, 3, 4, 5 chances. Let me tell you, who I am today, I wasn't when I was younger. I gave people lots of chances when I was younger as well. Lots of times I felt, same kind of way like Jasmin. You give, you don't get equal in return. But as I got older, I had to learn to control my giving to match the person I'm dealing with. Everybody doesn't deserve your gifts. Okay? Doesn't mean you turn them all the way off, but you definitely have to become good. If you're a giver by nature, you have to be good at scrutinizing and figuring out who is worthy of your gifts. And it's hard to get that balance. It could take years to figure that out. It could take years, but you got to know it about yourself. And right now, Jasmin is fighting an internal battle. She doesn't want to give up on her marriage. She wants marriage. She's been dreaming about marriage. She's a giver at heart, but she also sees what this man is saying and doing to her, and she's flip-flopping back and forth. Sometimes I can see where she's done. She wants to give up. Other times I see she wants to continue and she wants to keep going. But I hope in the end, he doesn't do too much damage to her where she has to go back and spend a whole another year recovering from Airris. And he gets to sit up here and get some free therapy. Airris talks about how he moved around a lot in life. I guess there was some instability in his home life. Running. Lots of people move around, but they move around for different reasons. My husband moved around a lot, but he moved around because his father was, in the military. So he was a military brat. So he talks about that, having to make new friends everywhere you want to go. That is difficult. That's a lot of work. I don't have that same experience. I lived in the same place for a long time with my mother and my father. My mother still lives in the house I grew up in when I was 6 years old. My family life, I had a lot of stability. People who move around a lot have to continually make friends. That is difficult, making new friends, proving yourself once again to people all over again, over and over and over again. So you're constantly feeling isolated. You're constantly feeling like you don't have friends. I understand where it comes from for Airris. I understand. I get it. All I'm saying is he's dangerous. He shouldn't be behind the wheel. He shouldn't be driving. He shouldn't be in a relationship. He's no different than a drunk driver. I'm not mad at you that you went to that party and got towed up, got drunk, got smashed. I don't have a problem with that you had a good time and turned up and now you drunk. But I do have a problem if you get behind the wheel. I do have a problem if you get behind the wheel and you kill somebody or you harm somebody. I do have a problem with that. I have a problem that if you do recognize that you drunk, that you shouldn't get behind a wheel, call an Uber, call a taxi, call somebody to come pick you up. That's Airris. Airris is sitting over here talking about he got all this awareness of who he is and because he's been in therapy. Then why are you behind the wheel of the car? Why are you behind the wheel of the car? If you know you've been drinking and you done had 10 shots of vodka, why are you driving? Why are you driving? You know you weren't married. You weren't ready for marriage. He even said he got married hoping it would help him get out of this mode. No, you're supposed to get married when you know you out of that mode, when you know you sober. He up here driving behind the wheel of a car drunk, hoping he gets home safely. But everybody else is in danger. I'm telling Jasmin, don't get in the car with that drunk driver. Don't get in the car with that drunk driver. I don't care what he tells you. I don't care if he tells you, no, I haven't had enough to drink. I haven't had too much to drink. I can drive. You see him stumbling. You see him slurring his words. Don't trust him. Don't get in the car. Call your mama or your daddy to come pick you up. Call your girlfriend. Call your best friend. Call an Uber. Call a taxi. But do not get in the car with that drunk driver, because Airris is a drunk driver and he could kill somebody. Period. Point blank. So when I say I'm not all on Jasmin, I'm on Jasmin. Jasmin got issues. Jasmin has some communication issues, but her communication issues could be worked through if she were in an environment that was safe, because she wants to do it. And I've seen glimpses of her doing it, which means she shows the capability that she could do it, but she needs to have better circumstances to do it. And these are not the right circumstances for it. So am I going to spend time telling Jasmin she needs to open up? No, I'm not. She needs to open up with somebody else, not Airris. Like I said, there ain't much Airris can do for too many women at this point in his life. Besides the fact that I think he probably makes decent money because he's a software developer. They make good money. Besides that, but he wouldn't give no woman no money because he's selfish at heart. So it doesn't matter that he makes good money or may has a good career. He wouldn't share it with you. Not to no real effect. It doesn't matter. When selfish people, it doesn't matter what they have because you're not going to get none of it. That's the thing about selfish people. What difference does it make what they have? They're not going to share it with you because they're selfish. They're selfish. And now we're moving on to Nicole and Chris. And this was a week when we were going back in everyone's childhood, hearing all their trauma stories. And let me tell you, I was interested in hearing everyone else's stories, but Nicole and Chris, because I've had enough. I've had enough. These two are exhausting me. I'm going to need therapy after listening to them for so long. I'm going to need my own therapy because they are draining me with these trauma stories. Maybe this is good for them. Maybe this bonds them. But let me tell you, I sure hope this is all because Married at First Sight keeps asking them to tell more and more stories. And they got plenty of them. They got plenty of stories, one after another. I mean, they one up each other. One person tells a trauma story. The other one comes right back and tells a bigger one. I mean, my gosh, I can't listen to it anymore. I can't listen to any of these trauma stories anymore with Nicole and Chris. I really can't listen to them anymore. It's too many of them, and they keep coming and coming and coming and coming. I'm tired of them. I'm happy for them. They seem like the perfect couple. So since from the very beginning, I knew they were going to be perfect for each other. They are perfect for each other because they never get tired of hearing each other's stories. And then when they do, they can have these little goofy moments together as well. I love that about them. She don't seem bothered by these wild ass dogs all over the bed with their private parts all over the pillows where you lay your head. I don't want to lay my head and my nose on a pillow where some dog's coochie has been or some dog's butt has been. Those dogs are wild. Those dogs are wild. She don't care. That's good. Remember back when he told us he didn't change those sheets for a whole month? And we were like, that's nasty. But even at that time, I thought it was maybe the dog was sleeping at the foot of the bed. But now we figure out what these dogs are really doing in that bed all over the pillows too. And you ain't washed them sheets for a whole month. That is nasty. They're perfect for each other. Chris want to say why women left him. He thinks it's all because he was too nice. Boy, no. People weren't leaving you because you too nice. People were not leaving. People were leaving you because most people don't want to hear these sad stories all the time. And most women aren't going to want to sleep in a bed in which your dog's been all over the bed. No. You're not getting no date. You're not getting no sex. You're not getting none of that. None of that. He came up with the wrong reason of why women was dumping him. The wrong reason. But he found the perfect woman, Nicole, because Nicole don't want to be single for nothing. She want to be married. And this girl is working hard. She is putting in the work. And you know what? Eventually it's going to become who she is. Right now she has to fight against it, but eventually it's going to become a part of her. It's going to get easier and easier for her. She's toning her stuff down. She's toning it down because she knows she can't be that girl anymore because it won't work well with Chris, and she's toning it down. But eventually it's going to be a part of her, which is a good thing. It's almost like a diet. You know what they say, that you really shouldn't go on diets. It should be a lifestyle change, because if you're just trying to like eat a certain type of way just so you can lose your 10 pounds or 15 pounds, when you say to your mind you're off the diet, then you go back, you're just going to gain the weight back. It's a lifestyle change. You got to resign yourself and say, this is not a diet, it's a lifestyle change. So what Nicole is doing in this marriage, in this 8-week experiment, she's saying, this is not a diet. I'm not going to just try to be a person for 8 weeks, and then after 8 weeks, I can be whoever I want to be. What she's saying is, I'm trying to make a lifestyle change. I'm trying to make changes that are going to last a lifetime, a lifestyle change. And she's actually doing it the right way, because that's how you have to look at it. You can't look at it as, I'm just going to do this for 8 weeks so I can get a yes. What she's saying is, I want to make changes that are going to last a lifetime. And she knows that other part of Nicole, what she likes to do her way, whatever she wants to do, run over people, it won't last a lifetime. It won't. She needs to make more systematic and deeper changes. And that's what she's doing. She's working hard. I'm going to give her flowers because Nicole is working hard. And let me tell you, in order for a marriage to work, you actually do have to have that mentality. You have to have the mentality that there's some parts about me, both people have to say, there's some parts about me that actually have to just die. They have to die in that single life, because going into married life, those things don't serve me well. You can't look at, I'm just going to do them sometimes here and there. No, you actually got to kill parts of your old self so that a new person can rise up in this marriage. Not a whole new person no one recognizes, but there's parts of you that absolutely have to die when you move from being single to being married. So that's why I tell people, anybody walking around talking about, I want to be with someone who accepts me completely as I am, I say, well, you're going to have a problem in marriage. Because no one is going to accept you 100% for completely who you are. You're going to have to change something. What that is, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what it is, but your partner will tell you. Your partner will tell you what you need to change in order for your marriage to work. And you're going to have to be willing to do it if you want your marriage to work. And if you don't want to change it, keep looking for that person who is going to accept everything about you. And the reason why it's such a ridiculous thing for people to say is because you ain't going to accept everything about anyone else. When's the last time you were in a relationship and then asked your mate to change one thing? When's the last time you accepted a person, everything about them, and you didn't want them to change nothing? Never. I'm going to speak for you. Never happened. So the fact that someone will go in a relationship saying, I want someone to accept me just as I am. No. The change may be slow. The change may be over a process. You may have to continually work on it. But for you to go in and say, I ain't even going to work on nothing because I don't want to change nothing, that's a problem. That's a problem. Somebody's going to need a commitment that you're going to work on this. Doesn't mean doesn't mean they have to wait until you've done all the work, but they're going to need to see you are willing to do it. One, acknowledging it, willing to do it and working on it. Not sitting over here talking about I ain't changing nothing. So kudos to Nicole. Kudos to Nicole for digging deep and really wanting to change some things about herself. And everybody is saying that Chris is a pushover. To be honest with you, Nicole is actually doing the majority of the changing. So I don't know how people are getting this notion that Nicole is actually running over Chris, because the person doing the most change in the relationship is actually Nicole. Chris is over here kind of still doing the same thing. Chris is still over here letting his dogs run wild and not washing his sheets. Chris tends to think that he's just this wonderful, nice guy, and everybody else has had the problem running over him. He says the only thing he needs to do differently is stand up to people. That's what he said. He says the only thing he needs to do is stand up to people. Everybody needs change. Everybody needs to do something. And I'm going to tell you, Chris in this doom and gloom, these sad trauma stories, the first thing I would need to ask him is stop telling them. I've heard them all. I don't want to hear them no more. I want to hear happiness and joy and how wonderful things are now. I've heard all your sad stories. I don't want to hear anymore. So the change I would want from Chris is, I'm glad you shared the stories, but I don't want to hear them no more. I know your past. I know where you came from, but I don't want to hear about another ex-girlfriend, what another ex-girlfriend did to you. I don't want to hear none of that. I don't want to hear no stories about your mama, your daddy, nothing. No more stories. I've had enough. In every story that Chris tells, he was a victim. I was a victim to my dad. My mom had this boyfriend who was horrible. I was a victim to the boyfriend. I was a victim to my mom. I should have stood up to my mom. I should have done all these different things. I don't want to hear anymore. I don't want to hear it. But I like the two. I like them together. I really do like them together. I think they're going to actually have a good, long, healthy marriage. But I think sometimes they're going to have to both drop the trauma stories. I think at one point in time, you know what they need to do? They need to do what we do, me and my husband and my family, we do every New Year's Eve. We do what's called a burning bowl. And what we do is we write down pieces of paper, all the things we want to leave in the year past. So we make a big campfire. We go outside, we make a campfire or a fire pit. We write on pieces of paper, what don't you want to take in to the next year? What do we want to say we need to let this die in this year? This New Year's Eve, Chris and Nicole need to write down all their diaries with all their sad stories, where they kept it on pieces of paper, get it all out. Then they need to go to the fire pit and they need to throw it in the fire pit and says that's where it stays. We're not going to talk about it anymore. We're not going to bring it up anymore. We're going to move forward with a new life. And our conversation is going to be filled with talking about the future, not the past. Our life is going to be talking about all the wonderful things in our future, not all the horrible things in our past. It's great to look back because like I said, dial it back, figure it out. But you can't stay in the past. Okay? You can't stay in the past. It's like a rear view mirror. Yeah, you want to be able to look back, but eventually you got to keep your eyes on the road in front of you. And right now, Chris and Nicole, they look back too much. And that's actually what scares them, because they keep looking back at the back stories and then they get afraid of, is that going to happen again? Stop turning around. Don't be like Lot's wife in the Bible. Don't turn around, because you're going to turn into salt. Don't turn around. I'm going to be like the Lord and tell them, flee, 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 and don't turn around. Don't look back, because you're going to turn into salt. And that's what I'm telling Nicole and Chris. Look forward. Go ahead. You guys got a bright future. You're a good parent. You're good together. Look forward. Look forward. A Married at First Sight, season 16, a Nashville, and this is for the after party, y'all. This is for the after party. And on the after party was Nicole, Airris, and gaslighting Kirsten. Have y'all watched my other video on Kirsten and Shaq? If you haven't, be sure to check it out, because I really go into it a lot more on that video. It's a longer video this week than normal. Be sure to check it out. But let me tell you, Kirsten got on this show, and she does what she likes to do, and that is she likes to blame others and gaslight Shaq. Kirsten got on this show and said she was really upset at the fact that Shaq was sitting there talking to Jasmin about the fact that he felt bad that he couldn't meet her daddy. And you know what Kirsten got out of that? First, they were trying to make it. First thing they said was, did you feel that that Shaq was flirting with Jasmin? And Keisha and I asked both Airris and also asked Kirsten. And Airris said, no, I didn't feel like he was flirting with her, not at all. And then Kirsten said the same thing. I didn't feel that they were flirting at all. But she said, what I am upset about is that he can talk to a whole lot of other people about stuff, but he doesn't talk to me. This girl. So she was upset at the fact, for what she said was, I was upset that Shaq revealed to Jasmin that it bothered him that he hadn't met my father. First of all, this is reminiscent of last week when Shaq told Kirsten hey, why didn't you tell me something? And you know what she told him? Because you didn't ask me. Remember, he said, I don't understand why you didn't talk to me about that. And she told him, because you didn't ask me. And if you wanted to know, you should have asked me. Well, here we are, Kirsten. If you wanted to know if Shaq was bothered by not meeting your father, the man you say so wonderful, the man who set this high standard in life for your living, if you wanted to know why if he was bothered by it, why didn't you ask? Guess who did ask? Jasmin. Guess who did ask the question, Kirsten? Jasmin asked the question. And you know what she got? She got an answer. So for you to sit here last week and say Shaq can't be mad about something he didn't know because he didn't ask, and now you sit here mad because you didn't know something about Shaq because you didn't ask, but Jasmin asked. And not only did Jasmin ask, when she asked the question the first time, he said, no, I'm not bothered. But you know what? She was intuitive enough to know that how the heck couldn't that bother you? And she said, are you sure you're not upset? And you know what he said? Yeah, it does bother me. You could have done that, Kirsten. You could have done that as the wife. You could have had the same standards for yourself that you had standards for Shaq. But here's the problem with Kirsten. Kirsten got standards for Shaq that she herself can't live up to. She wants Shaq to buy houses, $2 million houses, buy cars, buy watches, buy push gifts, buy all these things. And Kirsten don't do none of this. None of it. She barely kissing the man. She got high standards up here, but she ain't, because she got low standards for herself. She want to be a housewife, right? Even Airris got on here and said, what's wrong if a woman wants to be a housewife? I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't see nothing wrong with it either, Airris. I don't see nothing wrong with a woman saying, hey, I want to be a housewife. But here's where I have a problem with. I have a problem with a woman who want to be a housewife but don't know how to take care of a house. I sure do. I got a problem with a woman who wants to be a housewife but that doesn't know how to decorate a house, doesn't know how to take care of a plant, doesn't know how to cook, doesn't know how to eat with her mouth closed. Okay? I got a problem with all that. You can't want something that you don't even know how to take care of, or you can't even meet the standards of the job as well. Period. Point blank. I'ma say it. Kirsten uses all this trickery to try to get Shaq to up his game. Talking about rich friends she has that that buys their wives houses and cars. Let me see him. Let me talk to him. I want to talk to the men you're talking about that have so much extra money that they're able to pay 100% for everything. It's a small percentage of men in the world today. You know how expensive it is to live out here in the world? I'm not talking about a man who may pay 80% of the bills or 90% of the bills. A lot of these men who walk around talking about I'm paying all the bills, you don't see no details on that. You don't see no details on, they can't be saying it. You don't know. You don't know. Sometimes when you talk to these women, you find out that's not really true. He says it. Yeah, he does pay the mortgage, but I pay the gas bill, the electric bill, the cable bill. I buy the food for the house. I pay for the kids' daycare. So when you add up all these other things, it's just as much as the mortgage. It's just as much as the mortgage. But you got men talking about I pay the house note. I pay for the house. I pay for this. That's fine. I'm not going to put that down. But they're not adding all the other things the women pay for. You know how much groceries are these days? Cable bills, internet, electric, all these little bills the men feel aren't nothing because they're paying the mortgage. All the little bills sometimes add up to more than the mortgage. You know how much daycare is now? A lot of women are paying for daycare out their pockets. And sure, the man may be paying the rent or the mortgage, but daycare is hella expensive. Internet bill is expensive. Cable bill is expensive. Food is expensive. Healthcare insurance is expensive. So don't be discounting what women are bringing to the table because men around here talking about I pay the mortgage. There are not that many men who can pay for everything, people. I'm talking everything. It's not that many people who can afford to do that. Not in this day and age. It is tough. Now Airris sitting over here talking about he the hero in the relationship, talking about, yeah, I'm just trying to be patient with Jasmin so she can so that she can open up more because she was patient with me. Boy, the party's over. The party is over. You ever meet that person? You invite them to a party And you like, my party is going to be from, 4 p.m. to, 10 p.m. or whatever else. And they show up at 9:30 talking about why you guys turning off the music. I'm here to party. That's Airris. The party's over. The party's over, Airris. You showing up now? The party's over. You might as well go on back home. You showing up now with all your bags talking about you've been to therapy. I don't know where you started, Airris. I don't know where you started. But if this is where you are through therapy, I can't imagine where you were before. Like the Lord, like they say, you don't know where I've been to. You don't know where I come from. So don't judge me. And so that's what I'm going to say to Airris. I'm not going to judge you for the progress you've made. Because obviously, if you've been in therapy, hopefully it's been working, which means 2 years ago before therapy, you were even worse than this. But that doesn't mean I have to say you're fit for marriage. You're not. Watch my video on Airris Jasmin. Kudos to him for being in therapy. Kudos to him for making progress. But you're a little bit too late for this party. This party started now 6 weeks ago. 6 weeks ago. And so for you to just now be showing up at the party, talking about now I want to be open and honest and talk about some things. No, I'm packing up. I'm cleaning up. Talking about why you shutting down the bar. Yeah, I'm shutting down the bar. The party's over. Well, I want a drink. No, you're not getting a drink. We're not making no drinks no more because I'm cleaning up, wrapping up this stuff because I'm about to go to bed. Jasmin, go to bed. Don't keep this party going for Airris because he's just now getting to it at 9:30 and the party supposed to be over at 10. Jasmin, clean up your party, pack up your stuff, and go to bed. All of a sudden, Airris got all this new revelation. Oh, Jasmin comes from a big family, so she's really so used to doing so much for everyone. So sometimes she doesn't look out for herself. Thank you, Airris, for the revelation. We already figured this out on week 1. Like I said, late to the party. We already danced to that song. He coming in the party talking about, hey, play this song. No, we've already played that song 2 times during the party. We're not playing that song again. Just because you got here at the end of the party, now you want to start the playlist over? No, we already played that song. We danced to it. We sweated out our hair. We're done with it. The party's over. I don't want to hear no stories about your revelations or what you want to do now after we've been here already. Ugh, I can't stand Airris. And Nicole over here giving him cool points, talking about, oh, you're so aware. Nicole, go sit down. Go sit down. Go over here. Just stay over here with Chris. Don't get involved in none of this Airris and Jasmin stuff because let me tell you, this stuff is way too deep for you to be getting involved. It is way too deep and deep-rooted on Airris for the quack therapist Nicole to be getting involved. She's a quack therapist. She's a quack counselor. Don't be getting involved. Don't be getting involved with this. This is grown folk stuff over here. You going over there with Chris. Going over there with Chris. Don't be getting involved, putting those through people's doors with Kirsten Shaq. Don't be telling Airris, oh, you're so aware. No, he's not. He's not aware. Stop it. Stop praising him. Stop it. Now he's learning on this after party. He's talking about, I didn't create a safe space for a Jasmin. And the truth be told, he isn't even having this awareness in the moment of his marriage. He's actually having this awareness now at the after party, which we know the after party is filmed way later. Way later. So now he's saying, I didn't create a safe space. So somebody must have had to tell him that. He had to go through this whole eight weeks of marriage. He had to go back to his therapist. He had to talk to other people. And somebody had to tell him, boy, you didn't create no safe space for that girl. And now he's coming on the after party acting like in that moment, he knew all this. He didn't know that in this moment. He knows it in this after party, but he didn't know it in that moment. He's trying to, this after party was supposed to be, what were you thinking in that moment? He's like, well, I'm being patient because, I know that I didn't create a safe space for her. No, you weren't thinking that in that moment because you weren't aware back then. You may be aware now after the marriage is over, after you've gone back to therapy, after somebody told you about yourself, but you didn't know it then. So you were not creating a safe space for her back then. Watch my video, y'all. He was not creating a safe space for her back then. He wasn't at all. He may be talking that good game now, but that's not what he was doing back then. That's why I wholeheartedly back Jasmin when Jasmin says, I don't have nothing to say. That's where you keep it, Jasmin. You want to dance to a song, Airris? You want a song to dance to? Here's the beat for you. I don't have nothing to say. You want to dance to a song when you show up to a party late? Here's a beat. Catch this beat. I don't have nothing to say. I don't have nothing to say. Get your groove to that. Get your groove to that beat. Then they show this little part about Chris and Nicole going down a memory lane, trauma lane. That's what I'm going to call it. Don't call it memory lane. Call it trauma lane. They need to have a street named after them in Nashville called Trauma Lane. Because that is the street they love to go down. I'm not even going to go over it in this after party. I'm not going to recount the trauma stories because I'm tired of listening to them. Like I said, watch my video on them as well. I'm tired of listening to them. I'm not going to go over them on this after party because not only am I tired of listening to them, I'm tired of talking about them on these videos. I'm going to need therapy after listening to their trauma stories. I'm going to need therapy. They really need to march on into the future. Into the future, Chris and Nicole. Stop looking back. Stop looking back. Kirsten says she loves watching Chris and Nicole's love story. She loves a romance. She loves a love story. I know she loves a fantasy. That's what she loves. She loves a fantasy. Kirsten loves to create a fantasy picture and then wants you to live up to that fantasy. $2.9 million houses that she's selling. She ain't selling no $2.9 million house. A $2.9 million house to buy. Ain't nobody buying you a $2.9 million house. Buy me fancy cars, buy me fancy houses, do all this other kind of stuff. I don't want to put no money in, but I want to be on the deed. A fantasy, fantasy, fantasy. That's what she creates. You need to provide a life that I'm accustomed to from my daddy. Let me show you the house my daddy bought me when I was a kid. This 2-bedroom house in Tennessee. 2 bedrooms, 3 of you piled up in 1 bedroom. That's the fantasy you want me to create? Then why are you showing me a $2.9 million house? If I could provide for you like your daddy did. Is this all I got to buy is a 2-bedroom house? I can provide that. What's she talking about? What lifestyle is she talking about? Friends who husbands buy them houses and cars. What is Kirsten talking about? She want to be a housewife, but she don't know how to clean, cook, decorate. That's not a housewife. I don't know what she's doing. What is she talking about? Entertain. She's serving. She don't know how to clean, cook, entertain, nothing. She entertaining mentees, serving them pizza. Where's the homemade meal? These are college students. You want to be a real good housewife? A real good housewife would have cooked these mentees a home cooked meal because these mentees are away from home. Probably haven't had a home cooked meal and I don't know how long. You want to be a good housewife? You want to entertain for your husband so he'll buy you a $2.9 million house? Learn how to cook a home cooked meal and not that salad you was stuffing in your mouth. Get out of here. And then she sat up here and gassed it, talking about, well, the reason why Shaq hasn't met her daddy is because her daddy's been too busy. I thought the reason he didn't come to the wedding because he didn't want to get COVID tested. I thought the reason in the episode you say the reason why Shaq couldn't meet your daddy or any of your family members is because you weren't ready to introduce him. So he's not good enough to meet your family. He's not good enough to meet your daddy, but he's good enough for him to say, I'm going to buy you a $2.9 million house. Girl. Kirsten. What are we going to do with you, girl? What are we going to do with you? So then Airris tries to take up for Shaq and say, well, maybe the reason he talked to Jasmin was because, sometimes as black men, it's hard to talk about our feelings. He was projecting on the Shaq because it's hard for him to talk about his feelings. But Kirsten got him in the bus. Said, no, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear no stories about no black man and no black man can't talk about their feelings. First of all, she was correct about that because Shaq doesn't actually have a problem talking about his feelings. So first of all, Airris, go sit down. Shaq's problem is not your problem, okay? You got problems talking about your feelings, but that really isn't a problem with Shaq. So I'm going to agree with Kirsten on that. But I disagree with Kirsten in saying that no, that's not his problem. His problem is that he just don't talk to me. Girl, get out of here with this. He should feel more comfortable having conversations with his wife and not with other people. Comfortable? You reject and put down any thought the man has. When the man told you, hey, I would want to buy a house together, you put it down. When you told the man that, hey, the house shouldn't just be for you, it should also be for us, you put the man down, told him that, no, that's not what I said. I was just joking. Anytime the man tries to tell you something, you put him down for it. Kirsten has this way of when she don't want something, she tries to get you off of it. And then when you stop telling her what you want, she says, well, what's wrong with you? Why didn't you tell me what you wanted? She gaslight her. She's horrible. She really is horrible. I said in my videos, Kirsten better freeze her eggs because she's going to be single a while. She's going to be single a while. And even if a man does marry her, once he gets a whiff of what's really going on, he probably going to divorce her. He's going to divorce her because this is hard to deal with. This is hard to deal with long term, what Kirsten does. What Kirsten does, the type of manipulation she's doing to get her way. And like I told you from the very beginning, pickiness was a form of manipulation. Talking bad about Shaq and his bald head was a form of manipulation. It was a way to devalue Shaq so that she could ask for more and make him want to step up to give her more. It had nothing to do with the bald head. It had to do with manipulating him so that he would want to pay more for her. He would want to, her price is now a $2.9 million house, and she gets to be a housewife and does nothing. She can live in a $2.9 million house, ride around in fancy cars, and she doesn't know how to cook, clean, throw dinner parties. She doesn't know how to decorate. She doesn't know how to take care of a plant. And the only thing she needs to know how to do is bake cookies, and not from scratch, just like all of you pointed out, from the frozen, prepared Pillsbury chocolate chip cookies. She ain't even baking the cookies from scratch. Housewife, where? Where's the housewife? I don't see her. I don't see her. Anyway, that's it, y'all. Watch my other videos. I'll talk to you later. Bye.